Hello and welcome to a video from filmsbychris.com. That's Chris with a K. I'm Chris with a K. Today we're going to create a very simple video game using Godot version 4.3. Godot is a great open source game engine, very easy to use, very lightweight, and is just spectacular. You can get Godot if you don't already have it at godotengine.org, and Godot is spelled Godot, like Godot, engine.org. Download, and again, I'm working with version 4.3 here, so you'll want to get that if you're going to follow along with this tutorial. We're going to use assets from Kenny, that's kenny.nl. There's lots of game assets, both 2D and 3D here you can get that are free to use. Also some sounds. I've already downloaded them. So to get the starter game, so I've already downloaded some graphics and sounds. Go to my website. There should be a link in the description, but filmsbychris.com/scripts/2024. And there's a mouse_games.zip. Go ahead and download that. Once you have it downloaded, open up Godot. This is what you'll see. We're going to say import, and then just navigate to wherever you downloaded that zip file from. Choose that zip file and click open. You'll get this, and then just click import and edit. Thing and load up. And then once it does, we have this basic setup here. You can see that we have some sounds and images that I've already set up for you. Let's go ahead and start creating our 2D game here. Let's go ahead and create a 2D scene, and we're going to call it Map 01. That because it's going to be our first level. Now, I like, for most of my games, a black background. We're going to go up to projects and change some project settings. You can change the name of your game here to whatever you'd like, and you can also change the icon. I already have a little mouse icon set up for you. Let's go ahead and first let's go to Window and resize this. We're just going to do 720 by 480 for our resolution, and I like my games just to go full screen. If you're going to play a video game, why wouldn't you play it full screen? Once we have that set, the only thing we're going to change in here is stretch mode. Let's go ahead and just set this to viewport. Okay, so we changed the resolution, made it full screen, and set the viewport. Now let's go down, and we're looking for environment, and we're going to change the default color, clear color, and I'm just going to make it black. I just think that looks good. So one or two other things we're going to change in here later on, but let's go ahead and just close for right now. So we have a blank canvas to work with here. We're going to say, we're going to right click on our map object here, add a child, and we'll type in tile. And what we're going to want is tilemap layer, not tile map, but tilemap layer. Create that. With it selected, we're going to come over here to the right where it says tile set. Where it says empty, we will click that and click new tile set. Now we can click on where it says tile set. Right away, we're going to want to add some physics to this because we want our player to be able to collide with it, right? So we're going to add an element. Here we have collision layer and collision mask. Collision layer is the layer that this object is on. Collision mask is the things it's going to collide with. Let's go ahead. Something you don't have to do but is helpful because right now they're just numbered. If we click these three dots here, we can say edit layer names. And I'm going to give names to some of these layers. I'm going to say players for layer 1, map for layer 2, and I'll say collectibles for layer 3. Those are going to be coins or any other bonuses you can pick up. I'm going to go ahead and hit close now. And that's just for your reference. When you hover over these now, they'll tell you what layer it is by name, so you can keep things organized. But since this is our map, we're going to have it set on 2. So our tile set is on 2, and it's going to collide with 1 and 3. So now that we have that, we will center click. So click on your mouse wheel, drag around, and then scroll to zoom in a little bit. Now we have, again, our tile set selected. So we have this down here. And we have down here, we have options. These last two, we're on tile map and tile set. We want to go to tile set. And then in our little tree here, we're going to go to objects and mouse. That's just where I have the one whole tile that has all the graphics for this game in one thing. Sometimes I would divide these out, but it's just, this is a very small game we're working with. We're just going to drag this monochrome tile set. We're just going to create a basic little black and white game, a little pixel game. And we will click yes to create tiles in the atlas. And now we can zoom in here and you can see all the different things. So I'm just scrolling to zoom. We have these different tiles. From our map to other objects and our mouse here that's going to be our main player. Let's go ahead and select this tile right here, this little ground tile. We can scroll through here. Let's actually click select, select it again, and now we'll go down to physics, physics layer 0. And in here, you can see that tile that we have selected. So whichever tile we have selected, we want to set up what parts of this our player can collide with, because we don't want them colliding with the empty spot here. So we're first going to turn on our grid. So you see the little magnet here. We're going to click that, and we're going to grid snap. And now we can see our grid. Press the green icon here, and we're just going to draw over this top part here a little rectangle. That is what our player will collide with. At this point, let's go ahead and hit Control S to save and put this under Scenes. I have a folder created for you called Scenes. We're just going to save it as Map01. Save. Perfect. Let's click on our tile map layer again. And now we're going to, again, choose that same icon that we just, or same tile that we just set collision for. And you can see if we have the little pencil selected here, we can start drawing our map. But if I zoom in here, you can see it looks a little blurry. See, we're working with pixel art, so we need to tell Godot that we're working with pixel art, so it doesn't look blurry like that. It's trying to smooth the edges. With pixel art, you don't want that. We're going to go to Project Settings, and in here, we're just going to look for tile. Now, there's a little filter here. We can type in, or not tile, but textures. Texture. So I'll just type in text, and we can see render texture. And then here, where it says canvas texture, and we have default texture filter, we're going to set this to nearest. We're going to hit close, and already you can see it's not blurry anymore. Nice straight pixels. We're drawing our map here. If we hit F5, it will start the game, but it needs to know what our default scene is. Currently, we just have one scene, our map. We're going to say select the current scene. So from here on out, it will start by loading this map. Do that, and this is our map. You can see our tile is up. Our map is up here in the top left. We can close this with Alt F4 on a lot of systems, or Windows Q, depending on how your system is set up. And this is our viewport, this purple, or this blue box here. We're not going to use that. We're going to add a camera. So click on our map 1, right-click it, say Add Child, and type in Camera. And we want the camera 2D, not the camera 3D, the camera 2D, because we're making a 2D game. And there you can see it's right there. This purple one is our camera. It's kind of zoomed out, so with the camera selected over here on the right, we're going to change this to 2, and now we're zoomed in even more. And if we hit F5, there is our map. We can, with our camera selected, click the little red cross in the middle here, and we'll drag that up. Let's go ahead and select our tile map again, and with that same tile selected and the pencil, and we can scroll to zoom in, we'll draw a little bit more of our map. You left click to draw, and right click if you want to erase something. There's other options, fill buckets and stuff like that down here. We're not going to mess with that too much. Let's go ahead, draw another little platform here, and maybe another one right here. Okay, if we hit F5, we can see what that looks like. Great. Again, Alt F4 to close your window, or whatever key combination, because we haven't set, we're going full screen, but we haven't set an exit key yet. We'll worry about that later on. For right now, let's go ahead and add in another object. So we press the little plus sign, and here we're not going to choose one of these. We're going to choose Other Node, and we're going to type in Character. And we have a Character Body 2D. We will select that. We'll click it to rename it. We'll just call it Player. You'll see a little yellow exclamation mark here warning you of some things. Don't worry about that just yet. Let's go ahead and center click and scroll to zoom in a little bit. Let's add in our graphics for our player. So we're going to right click and say Add Child, and we're going to type in Sprite. Sprite. And we're going to choose, there's Sprite 2D and Animated Sprite 2D. Depending on what you do, you may want to choose the other. We're going to go Animated Sprite 2D. More complicated games, I might go with a Sprite 2D and animate it a different way. But let's go ahead and just choose that and click here just to shorten it up. I'm just going to call it Sprite. At this point, with the sprite selected, we can come over here to animation, and you can see sprite frames. Click on this and say New Sprite Frames. Now we click on where we have the sprite frames there, and we have our default set here. What we want to do now is choose this little grid icon. Now we need to find our graphics. For this project, under Objects, Mouse, we have the monochrome tile map, which has all our graphics. We will choose that. And it shows everything, and we need to divide this up so each item is in its own little box. This particular graphic is each box, each tile, is 16 by 16. So over here where it says size, we want to change that to 16 by 16. Now you can see our grid. In here we want to hit Control and scroll to zoom in. And for our our default animation, our idle animation, I think we're going to choose these 4 little animation frames here. Once you have them selected in that order, 0, 1, 2, 3, and you can change that later on if you want, we'll click Add Frames. Now we have our little graphic there. At this point, we can add collision detection. So with our player here, we'll right-click on player, say Add Child, and we'll type in collision, and we want a collision shape 2D. We'll choose that, click Create. A little exclamation mark next to that because we need to set a shape. So over here to the right, we have shape. We're going to click where it says empty, or sorry, click the drop down here, yeah. And we're going to change this to whatever shape fits what we're doing. Most time characters, you're going to want a capsule. This guy's kind of round, we could use a circle, but I'm going to go capsule. At this point, this is where he's going to collide with anything else in the game. So we want to make our collision mainly to his body. We want to make sure this bottom dot is lined up with the bottom of his feet, and we don't care if his ears hit anything, but we don't want his body going through anything. So now we have that set. We will hit Control S and decide where to save this. We'll go up and into Objects, Mouse, and we'll just leave this named as player.tscn. Save. Now we could add him to our scene, but he has no programming yet. So let's go ahead and right-click on Player, and we'll attach a script. Since we chose a character 2D for this, it asks, do you want to use the character 2D template? And although in a more advanced game, I would completely rewrite all this, it is a good way to start. So we're just going to click Create. And this is our script. We'll hit Control S to save. And if we come back up to this tab here and go to our map and choose 2D, and then in our tree over here, we can go to Resources, Objects, Mouse, and we have our player, not the GD, but the TSCN, that's our scene, our player object. We'll put him right there. So there's our mouse. And if we hit F5, we can now use, forgot to tell him what to collide into. So go ahead and close our window here. Go back to our player tab here. And with our player selected, we're going to come over here to collision. Not this collision up here, but this collision right here. And he is going to be on 1, and he's going to collide with 2 and 3. Now, if we hit F5, there we go. Now he's colliding with the ground. We can use left and right arrow to move him, and space to jump. He is kind of moving kind of fast. So let's go ahead and adjust this. And I also would like him to jump a little bit lower because we might give him a double jump later on. So let's go back here after closing our game window. We're going to choose our script here, and we're going to change his speed to 150 and his jump velocity to -300. If we hit F5 now, I can run space to jump there. Oh, we might need to make this platform a little bit longer until we actually add our double jump in. So let's go back to map, choose our tile set here, go to 2D, make sure we have that tile selected and it's on draw, and there we go. So now we'll hit F5 and our character will jump like so. He's not animated though, right? We gave him an animation, a idle animation, but it's not working. Let's go ahead and close this, go back to our player, choose our sprite, and click this little A here. That means automatic. This is the default. Now, if we hit F5, you'll see that he is animated. Now, we want to create a run animation. Let's go ahead and hit, again, Alt F4 or whatever you use to close. And what we're going to do now is we are going to add a run animation. So again, choose our sprite here. Come over here to Animation Sprite Frames, click on this, and if it doesn't pop up, go to Sprite Frames. We'll click New, and we will rename this new animation to Run. Now we will choose our little grid icon here, choose the same image as before, and it should remember 16 by 16. If you've closed out Godot and come back in, it may not say that anymore, so make sure that's set to 16 by 16. Press Control and scroll, and now we can choose our run animation. I'm going to choose these 3 frames here. Run. Now, we've set it so he has a run animation, but now we need to do some coding. So let's go into our player, click on the little icon here to bring up the player script. And down here, these are the basic controls that were set. So here it's saying, okay, if he's not on the floor, add up gravity. If you press a certain key and he is on the floor, then basically make him go up. That's the jump. Check out your left and right buttons. If they're pressed, then make them go in that direction at a certain speed. So we're going to change all that in a little bit, but for right now, let's come down here. Now, Godot script is indentation sensitive. So for example, if I was to come in here and put a tab there, I just broke the script. And we'll tell you right there with the red in some cases. So we have to make sure that our indentations are right. But here, what we're going to do here is we're going to do an if statement. An if statement is going to check if something is true or false. So we're going to say if, and it will do auto-completion for you. We're going to say velocity dot x. So velocity is how fast he's moving. X is left and right. Y is up and down. So we're saying if his velocity does not equal 0, which means he's moving, what are we going to do? Well, actually, let's go ahead and for right now, we're going to drag our sprite. Let's drag it over here, okay? And what we're going to do actually on here, we're going to say at onReady var sprite equals sprite. What do we do? So this $ sprite is talking about the sprite over here in the tree. And we can use that in our script, but it's good to set a variable in case you move it somewhere in your tree. Now we have a variable. Anytime we say sprite, it's going to be talking about our image, right? Well, what we're going to do down here, we're going to say if he's not 0, so if he is moving, sprite.play, what are we going to play? The run animation, okay? And again, indentation is important. Now we're going to say else, colon, and let's say I forgot to put a colon there. And I start typing sprite dot play, and this one I'll say default. There we go. I was waiting for it to give me an error. It tells you right here, okay, error, line 27 at character 9, we are expecting a colon after the else. It tells you right there what the problem is. If you don't understand it, you can always Google that or whatever search engine you want. So now we're saying, this is just saying, if he's moving, use the run animation. If he's not, then use the default animation. We'll hit F5. Here we go. Now he's running. Now he's running, but he's running backwards. So two things I would change here. One, we have to flip his animation. And I don't know if this looks jerky with the screen recorder. He's moving smoothly, though. We need to flip his animation. I also want to speed up his run animation. So close this window. With our sprite animation here, we'll go here. We'll go 2D. With our sprite selected, we'll come down here to animation. Had to click off it and click back on it for some reason. Let's go ahead and take his run animation, click back on it for some reason. Let's go ahead and take his run animation, right? And we have frames per second here set to 5. Let's set that to 10. Now he'll run a little quicker. The animation, he won't move quicker, the animation will play quicker. Let's go back up to our script here. Now we're going to flip it. So we're going to say if, again, we're going to work with our velocity.x, so his movement left and right. If it is less than 0, what are we going to do? We're going to say our sprite, our image, dot flip h for horizontal equals true. Got to spell true properly. Then we're going to say else sprite dot flip horizontal, so h, equals false. So if less than 0, flip the image. If not, flip it back. Don't flip it, So flip the image. If not, flip it back. Don't flip it, Set it back to default. Now if I hit F5, we can move him this way, and we can move him that way. And I can hit spacebar to jump. So still things we need to do, but I think this is a good stopping point for this first tutorial. I will have more in the future. I thank you for watching. Visit filmsbychris.com. That's Chris with a K. There's a link in the description. As always, I hope that you have a great day. Hello and welcome to this video from filmsbychris.com. That's Chris with the K. I'm Chris with the K. This is part 2 in a series. We're creating a very basic little platform jumper in Godot game engine. Godot game engine, again, is a great game engine, free, open source, and it does both 2D and 3D games. We are going very simple with our graphics today and stuff, but this is for people who are brand new to game development. Be sure to watch the previous video. This is what we have so far. We can use left and right arrows to move our character around, and I can hit spacebar to jump. We're going to do a few more things. One thing, at this point, we have it set so the game goes full screen, but we don't have an exit button. And on most systems, you can hit Alt F4. You may have something else set up to close windows, so when the game's open, hit Alt F4 if you don't know how to get out of it. We're going to set it up so we can press Escape to get out of it, because maybe people don't know about Alt F4. So let's go in here. That's one of the things we're going to do. We're also going to change the controls a little bit, maybe add some sounds. So we're in our game here. Let's go up to project here. So, well, actually, let's look at our player script. So click on our player tab, player script. And here we have things like UI accept, UI left, UI right. These are preset in Godot. We're going to make our own here, though, because UI accept to jump is silly. Accept is space, but that's just a silly name for it. Okay, so we're going to go in here. So let me do that again in case. Project settings. We're going to go to the input map. And here you can map any keyboard, mouse, or game controller presses into your game. So here I'm going to type in left, hit enter, right, and I'm going to say jump. And then we'll also say exit. Okay? So let's go to the left here. We press this little plus sign and it opens up this window. And then you can take your keyboard or mouse or game controller and press a key. So in this case, I'm going to press the left arrow. At this point, I'll click OK. But I don't want just left arrow. I'm going to press that again. I'm going to press A, because many games use A as left. And then I also have a game controller, so I'm going to click this, and I'm going to click the left arrow on my D-pad. And then we'll click. And it's set to all devices by default. You can set specific devices. I don't know if we're going to get into multiplayer stuff on here. We're just going to leave it as all devices. I would always use all devices, because I usually map out different players in code, not in this interface. But we'll click OK. So now the player can press, well, once we change the code, they press left A or the left arrow on a gamepad, any of the gamepads hooked up, to go left. Let's do the same thing for right. So I'll do right arrow, okay, plus the plus again. I'll do D, okay, and then I'll press the plus arrow again, and on my game controller, press the right arrow. Now we're going to do jump. I'm going to go ahead, I'll leave space as an option, but I also just like pressing up. So in this case, arrow up, W for up, and on our game controller I'll just press one of the buttons, button Nintendo A or Xbox B. Okay, so we have some jump buttons, and then we want to be able to exit, right? So we're going to click this, I'm going to hit escape and click OK. So our escape key will be our exit button. We still have to program it though. We'll click close. In here now we need to update our controls here. For here, all we have to do in input is action just pressed, jump. And then for this input get axis left and right, we're going to go left and right. Okay, now if I hit F5, I can press left arrow, right arrow, or the up arrow to jump. I can do A, D, or W to jump. I can hit spacebar to jump. I can pick up any of my gamepads and I can press left and right and press the A button or B button depending on how they're mapped out on your game controller to jump. Great. And we still have to hit Alt F4 or whatever keys you have to exit out of programs. Let's go ahead and click on our map here and click on our map, and we're going to say attach a script. We're going to put this in our scenes directory and we'll just call it map. This will be our basic script for all our maps because we might make multiple levels. We'll click create, and in here under process we're going to say if input with a capital I dot is action just pressed, and we're going to say exit. And then here we're going to say get tree dot quit. So in real case scenario, when you're in your map, you're going to set when you hit escape to go back to a main menu. We don't have a main menu, but all this is saying, this is your process. This is constantly being looped and checked. It's waiting here. Okay, if you press an input, and if that input was just pressed and it's the exit button, which in our case is escape, we should probably map something to game controllers as well, but Right now we'll just do escape. What are we going to do? We're going to get our game tree. Your game tree is this over here. This is a tree when you ever have any things that fold in and out like this. So this is your game tree. And what are we going to do? We're going to say quit. That's it. And we can get rid of this pass now. That pass is just a placeholder if you don't have anything in this function. So fun is function. This is the name of a built-in function. So now if I hit F5, we'll start our game. And if I hit the escape key, our game exits. And of course, if we made a menu, we want to go to the menu. And then maybe from the menu, if you press escape again, it will exit whatever we want. Because we're the programmers. We can make this do whatever we want. Great. Let's add some sounds to our game now. No, you know what? Let's do one other thing first. I'm going to set it up so that, see, if I hit F5 now, you can see my mouse cursor. And there might be games where you want to see your mouse cursor or make your own custom mouse cursor. This game, we don't want to see the mouse cursor. So let's go ahead and fix that real quick. So what we're going to do here is we're going to set it when the map starts. So in this ready, once the map is ready, we're going to say input dot set, and again it does auto completion for you. What we want is set underscore mouse. It's not auto completing correctly. Continue typing what I was going to type. Mouse mode, and we're going to set input dot mouse mode hidden. I don't know why it didn't autocomplete mouse mode. There was another mouse cursor. I don't know if that's just a newer version. I'm just going off old memory stuff. But if I hit F5 now, let's see. Okay, our mouse is missing. I don't know why it didn't autocomplete properly there. But that's the code to hide your mouse. We can still hit escape to get out of that. So our game's already looking better, right? It's going full screen. We can escape to exit. There's no mouse cursor. We can use game controller or our keyboard to move our mouse around. Let's go ahead and go to our player, right click on player, and we're going to add a child, and we're going to say audio. And what we want audio stream player 2D, not 3D or just audio player 2D. 2D will make it so the sound will come out of the proper speaker. So if the action happens on the left side of the screen, it comes more out of your left ear, or goes into your left ear, I guess. On the right side of the screen, it will be on the right side. So let's go ahead and just rename this Jump or JMP, whatever, if you want to abbreviate like I do. And if we look in our resources, objects, mouse, I have a jump sound here for you. With this selected, we'll drag this over into this string where it says empty. Great, that's there. Now we just need to set it to play. And we will do that here. So input, this is where we have our jump options for. And in a bigger game, you would break this down. You might have a function for controls like jump and move left and right. It's a very simple game. We're doing everything basically in one function here. But we can say $JMP.play. And now if I hit F5, and I don't have my recording set to record the output on my computer, so I will just make sure that it's playing, and I turn the volume up. Oh, we did put it in our code. Let's see what's happening here. So we have jump, play, that's our sound. And so when we jump, it should make a sound. And through my headphones. Oh, okay. My computer was muted. Oh, okay. My computer was muted. Let's turn that. My computer was muted. Let's turn that down a little bit. So that's the sound. That's just the sound I put in there for you. You can adjust the pitch. So that's kind of high pitched. Let's adjust it down a little bit. Let's see how this sounds. I don't know. No. Great. Okay. So now we have sounds for our character. Let's add a coin for us to collect. So it's something for us to do. Or should we continue with jumping? Let's add double jump, and then we'll add coins, okay? So let's come up here. Let's create a variable. Now, I added this $JMP, which says look at in the tree here, something called JMP, and play it. You can do that, but what might be a more proper way is to give this a name. So I'm going to say SND JMP. I just like to abbreviate stuff. And up here I'm going to say @onReady var for variable SND JMP equals, and then again you can just drag this over. And again, that way we're very simple here. But if we got more complex and we had a lot of different things and we drug this into a different place, we would have to change it in multiple places possibly. This says, okay, we can just change it in one place and it'll apply to the rest of the script. So we're doing the same thing. We added a line of code. It's up to you on how you do that for a simple little game like this. Let's make sure we did everything properly though. Let's do a double jump. Let's create a variable. We'll have a variable up here. We'll call it var, and we'll say double. Whoops, spell it right. Underscore jump, and we'll set that to true. So at this point, they can double jump. And then what we're going to do down here is we're going to say elif, and let's just copy and paste some of this. We're going to say this. An ampersand, or type the word end. It just means and this. And it just means and this. So you're looking at two things that are true. So we're going to say double jump, colon, and then at that point we can do this. But we also want to, at that point, hit double jump equals false. And up here, and I'm going to explain all this in a second, double jump equals true. I did something wrong, it's complaining. Oh, I abbreviated when I'm not abbreviating anymore. There we go. So what does this say? Okay, again, this isn't our physics loop. This is constantly looping. We come down here and it says, if input action, just press jump. So if you press jump, but we don't want it to happen anytime. Let me do this. Ampersand, ampersand. This is saying and. So it's looking for two things to be true. Both these things have to be true. You're pressing whatever jump buttons you set up, and the player is on the floor. This is a built-in function that checks to make sure the player is on the floor. Because if you got rid of that, and you press the jump button multiple times, you would just keep flying. Okay, if both those things are true, if he's on the floor and you press the jump button, we're going to make sure that double jump is set to true. That will reset it for us anytime we need it. It will play the sound, and velocity, y, remember y is up and down, jump velocity, which is a variable up here, set to -300. So it's going to make our player go up. Now we have input is action press jump, so we're still checking, did they press jump? Now we don't care if they're on the floor, but we're checking, is double jump true? If it is, then allow them to jump a second time to do a double jump. But as soon as you do that, you want to make sure you set double jump to false, okay? Because if you don't, again, you have that scenario where you're flying. I can show you that. If I was to comment this out, so any line with a pound symbol there is a comment, means it's not going to run. So now if I run this, and I come over here, if I keep hitting up, I'm flying. If you want to fly, there you go. But if we set it to false, we can come over here, and now it's set to true. As soon as I hit the button the second time, it's going to set it to false until we jump again from the floor. So I can keep on hitting it. So it's only allowing me to do a double jump. Okay, so we have double jump, great, with sound effects. Let's go ahead and create some coins to collect. We're going to create a new scene. We're going to press the plus button here. We're going to say new 2D scene. We'll call this coin. And then we're going to come down here, and under objects, coin, I have a coin image and I have a coin sound. Let's go to 2D here. This is our coin scene. Let's just go ahead and right click, add sprite. We'll add a 2D sprite, and we will also add in an area 2D. And to the area 2D, we will add a collision shape. Now, let's select our sprite and drag over this coin image right here to texture where it says empty. Drag and drop that. We have our coin. Let's click on our collision shape. And here, again, for this, we'll choose capsule again, and we will shrink it down so that it fits our coin here. Great. We also want to make sure, if we choose our area 2D, we are going to say collision. Collectibles are going to be on 3, and it's going to collide with player 1, basically. Any player, because we might have multiple players. At this point, we're going to come over here to where it says node. Let's go ahead, select our coin. Let's go ahead and say group. And we're going to add this to a group. We're going to say plus sign. We'll say collectibles. For our players, let's go ahead and just make sure that they're in a group. Plus, so we have our players selected. We're going to say players. This will allow us to, anytime we want to check all of our players, they're all in a group that we can check. Let's go back to our coin here. We'll press Control S to save. Let's press up arrow until we're in our objects directory. Go to coin, and we'll just save the scene as coin. Great. Now we have our player here. We have our coin. With our coin, we're going to now set a signal. So select your coin. Actually, select your area 2D. Make sure we click on node and then signals. And down here, our player has a body. So we're going to say when a body is entered, we're going to double click this, and then, got to add a script to our coin. Right click our coin and say attach a script, and we'll save it as coin.gd, create. Now click on our area 2D, node, signals, body entered. And down here we'll just leave that as the default, or you can call it collected or whatever you want. But right now it's saying, okay, anytime it collides with a body that's on a layer that we said it would, which is 1, which should just be players. But it's a good idea to check. Right here, body is what it's colliding with. So just to double check, even though we put players on their own collision layer, what I can do here, just double check, I'm going to say if body.is in group, and here in quotations we'll say players. Actually, let's say not true, then return. All depends on how you want to do it. Avoiding more indentations, what we're doing here. So we're saying if the exclamation mark means not true. So if here we're saying, is this in the group of players? So the thing that touches the coin, is it a player? But here we're saying, exclamation mark, we're saying, if it's not a player, return. Just exit out of this function. If it is a player, well then we're going to take that body dot coins and we're going to add equals 1 to it. Don't need that semicolon at the end. Control S. Now to do that, we're going to come over here to players, and we're going to create a variable for this player, coins equals 0. We're not going to see this in this particular tutorial, but now when the coin is collected, they will add a coin to that player. And then we're going to say Q free. That will delete the coin. Save that, go to map, go to our tilemap here, 2D, find our coin, make sure it's coin TSCN, and drag and drop it right there. Now, let's go here and just see if we did everything right. The coin disappears. But we want it to make a noise when we collect it, right? So let's go back to our coin here, and we're going to add a child. We're going to choose audio stream player 2D. Let's go ahead and just rename this to SND or sound, whatever you want to call it. Choose it. Make sure we're on inspector over here, and you can see stream is empty. Drag over this coin sound. And now let's go to the script for the coin. And what we can say down here is $SND. Right? So that's going to be our sound. And we're going to say .play. The problem here, though, is if we try to do this, you're not going to hear the sound. And actually, let's go to our map and move that coin down a little bit so that we don't have to jump. But there's no sound. Why is there no sound? Well, it goes to play the sound, but before it has a chance to play, we're removing the coin. So it deletes everything from it, including its sound. So what we can do here is choose our sound in our coin. We're going to come over here to Node, Signals, Finished. This will create a function that when the sound is done playing, then it will do something. So we're going to choose that, and we're going to say unfinished. We can do that, or we can rename it. We can call it something like remove. Okay? Connect. And now we can take this free Q and move it down here. Now, and then after that, it will delete the coin. After that, it will delete the coin. See, it takes a moment though. So if we were to actually run this again, the problem with this is we can collect that coin multiple times, right? Sound finishes playing. We don't want that. So what we're going to do here, is we're going to, in our coin script, we're going to create a variable called active, we'll set it equal to true. Okay, and then down here, we're going to say we are active, but we don't want we are active, but we don't want to be active. We want to be not active, but we don't want to be active. We want to be not active. Okay, so we're checking untrue things here. At this point, we're going to say active equals false. Now, if I did everything properly, the coin won't disappear. The coin won't disappear, but we can't. Okay, I did do it wrong. Let's say active. Let's see. Okay, what am I doing wrong? We have active set to true, and here we're checking. Okay, so if it's not the player, okay, that is wrong. Let's try to do it in one. I know I can do it in one. What I'm going to say here, this is what we do. I said and, we want it to be or. So 2 ampersands, or you can type the word or. I'll type or for you. It might be a little clearer. I like just doing double ampersand or ampersand. Pipe symbols, not active. Okay. Active, then just return. Just exit out of this. So now the coin won't disappear right away, but we won't be able to exit out of this. So now the coin won't disappear right away, but we won't be able to collect it more than once. See? And then the sound will disappear. So what we want to do at this point is drag over our sprite. Again, we could create variables for this, but I'm going to take our sprite 2D and I'm going to say dot visible equals false. So when I collect the coin, it will disappear. We'll play the sound disappear, give me a coin, but technically it's still there until the sound finishes playing, but we're not going to see it. Great. So let me quickly review this because I know I was a little sloppy in explaining it. We've set it up so that when a body is entered, any object that the coin can collides with it, it's going to run this function. It's going to check. If it's not in the player, just return. Or if the coin is not active, just return. That means exit out of this function. Otherwise, it's going to continue. It will set it to inactive to make sure that we can't run this function a second time. We're going to make it invisible. We're going to play a sound. And we're going to give the player a coin. The sound is set through signals, through the signal over here, to run this free cue. We could have called that directly instead of creating a separate function, but there might be other things you want to do when you're removing the coin, so it doesn't hurt to make a new function there. So now we can go back over here, and we can go to our map 2D, and let's go ahead and select this coin. I'm going to go Shift D. Not lining them up great. There's actually a better way to put them into your map, which we'll go over in a future video, but let me go ahead and hit F5 now. Yay, I can collect coins. Okay, I hope you found this video useful. We'll do some more in this series coming up in future videos. I thank you for watching. As always, visit filmsbychris.com. That's Chris with a K. There's a link in the description. As always, I thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a great day. Here we are continuing with our game. Let's go ahead and have a look at our game. I'm going to hit F5 to start our game up here. We can move around, and we can jump. We can double jump, and we can collect some coins. Again, this video is from filmsbychris.com. That's Chris the K. I'm Chris the K. There's a link in the description to my website. And yeah, this is part 3 in a video series. Be sure to check out the previous videos where you can get the assets and follow along to where we're at right now. We'll hit escape to get out of our game, and we are on our map tab here. And if you've closed everything out, the map will be under scenes is where we put it, and you can always just double tap map 01. So here is our map. We put down coins, but look, they're all kind of crooked because I placed them by hand. Let's go ahead and just select them all and hit delete. Okay, our coin still exists over here, it's just not on our map. Let's choose our map, and down here under, let's see, tile set. So select our tile map layer, select tile set, say plus, and choose where it says scene collection. At that point, we can come over here to our tree, and under resources, objects, coin, we can find our coin TSCN and drag that to here. We can now select that, and now we can use that to draw to our scene. So we're going to choose this. We're going to click tile map. And we can go from our tile here, which right now we're only using one of these tiles. Obviously, you can use more in your game. We're just trying to keep things simple. We'll select on our scene collection here. We'll choose this, make sure we're on draw. And now we can go like this, and it's going to draw it in a perfect little grid. So things aren't crooked. It also prevents us from having a bazillion of them in our tree list here, which can get kind of sloppy. F5 to play our game. And coins. Now, let's add some music to our game, right? So we're going to say some music to our game, right? So we're going to say map. I'm going to right click on our map here. I'm going to say child, and I'm going to say here, we'll type in audio if you don't already have it typed in. And we're going to say audio stream player, not 3D or 2D, just audio stream player. This will play it out of both speakers, and we'll just rename it by clicking on it here to music. Now we need some music to play. Okay, I'm going to bring over my file manager. So you can grab any MP3 WAV file or OGG file, so just any audio file. And we're going to drag into our project here. Actually, let's create a folder to put it in. I'm going to click on Resources, right-click here, and I'm going to say Create New Folder. I'll call it Music. And now we have a music folder. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to drag this music file. It did not go into my music folder. Let's go ahead and now drag it up into our music folder. I can get rid of this window now. Okay, so now we have a folder with our music in it. Again, any MP3 WAV file or OGG file. And we'll choose our music here. We're going to go over to Inspector here, and under Stream, under Empty, we will drag in our music. This is just a quick little song I wrote, and we're going to say Autoplay, so it will start playing as soon as we start our game. And escape to escape. Our game is looking pretty good. We got sounds, we got a character we can control, things we can collect. Let's go ahead and build up our level a little bit more. So we're going to choose our tile map layer here. We'll go to monochrome map here, and then we want to make sure we choose the tile that we've already set, although we can create other ones, but I'm just going to go with this one, which we've already set collisions up for it. Remember in the first video when we set collisions, so if you're going to do other tiles and you want the player to collide with them, you're going to want to set that up as well, just like we did in the first video. So I'm going to draw another platform here, another platform here, another platform here. Let's erase this one. We'll go up a little bit higher right there. So now I'll hit F5 to start our game, and you'll see I can go up here. Oops. It's fine if you're going to have you go to another screen like you did in old school games, but all we have to do for this is take our camera here, and we are going to go ahead and place it on our player. So now it's attached to our player. Now we're also going to line it up how we want to look at our player here. It should follow our player. We'll hit F5. Our player will hit F5. Great. So it's following our player. It's very rough and jagged though. So what we want to do now is, with the camera selected, we're going to say Position, Enable Smooth, and you can set the speed, but this is going to give a little bit delay, so when the player jumps, the camera isn't locked to it. So we'll hit F5 now, and you'll see. So let me set this number a little bit higher just to exaggerate a little bit. I'll set it to 25. We'll hit F5 here. You set it to something lower is what we want. Speed, so now it's going to be super slow. You can see how long it takes to catch up with our player. And if I was to jump down, whoop, you can see how slow it is to catch up with the player. The default is 5. Let's go ahead and set it back to the 5. Anytime you change any settings in any of these menus, you see this little arrow with a circular arrow here. If you click that, it'll reset it to whatever the default is. So you don't have to remember worry about forgetting what the default is. We'll hit F5. Now, it's smooth, but it's not super slow, and if I was to jump down, it kept up with me pretty well. If I was to fall really far, it might take a second for it to catch up. So yeah, we have our camera following our player. Escape to get out of that. And again, to link the camera to the player, we just put the camera as a child of the player. And then we said over here, position, smoothing, and we're not having the camera rotating, but there is a smoothing for rotating if you have the camera rotate at all. And yeah, we got a pretty good game going here. This video is a little bit shorter than our previous games, but I think that we're doing well. I'm going to stop here. Let me know what you think. Put comments in the comment section. And as always, I hope that you have a great day. Hello and welcome to another video from filmsbychris.com. Chris with a K. There's a link in the description of my website. I'm Chris with a K. Here is the game we created so far. This is number 4 in a video series on creating a basic game with the Godot game engine. We're going 2D here, very simple art style here. We have a player that can double jump and can also collect coins. Our camera follows our player as we move around. Sorry, that might be kind of loud. Let's lower that a little bit. So the camera follows our player as he moves around and goes up these platforms. Let's see what happens if our player goes off the edge of the screen here, though. He falls, and he'll fall forever. So let's hit escape to get out of that. Let's set it up. We could put bounds to the wall, right? We could put some invisible barriers here, or we could actually build a wall. So like actually, if we were to go to our tile map here, choose our tile map here, choose the tile that we've created that has collision detection on it, and make sure we're on the paint here. I can come up here and you can see that I have, I can paint it here. But let's say I was to do this. There's a rotate button here. X to rotate right, or I can click that, or Z to rotate left. So I can come up here and I can hit X and it rotates. So now I can draw a wall like this. I can do Z twice and I can draw a wall like this. So now if I hit F5, since that tile has collision, I can create bounds to my map like so. And I can do that all the way up if I want. But just for fun, let's see what happens. Let's set it so that if we run off the edge of the screen and go down too far, it restarts the map. So hit escape. Let's go ahead and erase. Ooh, choose our tile map, tile set, tile map, and we will erase these. So there's a few different ways we can do this. We could put something down here that if the player touches, it restarts the level, or we can set if the player goes below a certain amount. Let's just go ahead and add something that will allow the player to detect when it gets hit. There's a few different ways we can do this. I'm just going to say right click on our map here. I'm going to add a child. I'm going to say area 2D. And for this, I'm going to say for its collision, I'm going to make it on the map layer. And it's going to collide with layer 1, which is players. And I need to add a collision shape to it. So add collision shape 2D. And we're going to give it a shape. And this time we'll just do a new segment shape, which is a line, right? So here it is. It's right here. I'm going to go like this. And I'm going to draw this line really big so that the player can't not touch it, right? And with the area 2D selected, we're going to go to node and we're going to say body entered. So when a body touches it, we'll double click that and we'll say that we'll call this out of bounds. I guess I could make that a little clearer if I wrote it with underscores there. Connect. So now we have out of bounds. So again, we should check if it's a player touching it. So we can say if not the body dot is in group players, then return. Again, we set it up so that the only collision layer it's touching is the players, so it shouldn't be an issue, but it doesn't hurt to check and make sure it's a player. So If it's not a player, then just X out of this. If it is a player, it's going to continue. We're going to say get tree, and then we're going to say reload current scene. So again, the tree, when we say get tree, we're saying get this, our entire tree here. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to reload the current scene. That's a built-in function. So now, when we go off the edge of the screen and we go down far enough, like so, if I did everything right, it just restarted the level. Now you could put a delay on that and make some sound, or say game over. But I just want to show you the basic concepts of restarting the map when the player goes too far. And let's just make sure that I can't. Okay, good. I made the line far enough that I don't think I can jump past it. That's it for this tutorial. I just wanted to add something like that into here. I hope that you're enjoying this series. That was a basic short little video here. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you have a great day.